was born with knowledge of CMT, with family members and my mother having it. It was kind of baked into me. And when I was a little kid without leg braces or anything like that, I was running like lightning and all over the place, pretty typical child. And then, as a teenager, things progressed, but I was still able to run, just not as stable. And my walking was mostly normal still. And now at 52 years old, I am still incredibly active, but running is no longer a thing I can do. And I can walk. I walk throughout every day, but I experience a good amount of instability when I'm walking through my average day, even with leg braces. I would say that I went through a lot of years of resentment. So it's not that resentment never came. It did. But I had a very good role model in my mother, who lives with this disability and taught me through action. She never sat me down and said, here's how you should be with CMT, but I watched her my entire life, and she just most of the time refused to complain. I got my mom's heart and my dad's style is the cliff notes to my family tree. And my dad was a teacher for 55 years, a camp director for 52 years, a youth director at our temple for 38 years. And I by watching one of the best in the business with kids, I absorbed everything I could possibly take from him. And I'm biased, but I also know good when I see it, and he was one of the best. I watched him in his classroom sometimes. The way he had kids in the palm of his hand without seemingly trying. So with regards to the effect of CMT on most hands, we often call it CMT hands. You can tell you're around your people because our hands look the same. This strength or lack of strength in this area right here, and in my fingers in general, but this group of muscles that is clearly very weak and underdeveloped in my hands is the muscle group that pulls the thumb over to work with the fingers. And one of the best examples of that is you use that muscle group to pull your thumb over to pinch a button. Every time someone with normal hands buttons a shirt, which probably takes them all of 20 seconds, boop, 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 is a joke to me, because this is me attempting to button a shirt. I have not put a button through a buttonhole in a couple decades, but I'm going to try for your benefit and educational opportunity. But even just trying to pinch the button. Okay, so I finally have it. But the idea of getting it, I can line it up with the buttonhole, but the strength to push the button through the buttonhole, whoa, I almost actually got that. That's the closest I've come in a long time. You can imagine that for me to properly button a shirt from bottom to top would take 10 minutes, and I would be more frustrated than ever. You saw how much I struggled before with my hands to do it. This part goes through the whole side, reaches over here and grabs the button, and voila. So with regards to leg braces, the necessary evil of my life and a lot of people with CMT's lives, they help me to get through my average day. And the way that I always explain this to kids is that what CMT affects in your legs, CMT is a peripheral neuropathy, meaning it's only in the periphery, from my knees to my toes, from my elbows to my fingers. Those are the muscles that are directly affected because the nerves in those parts of my body are directly affected. So over time, those affected nerves cause weakness in the muscles. When normal footed people walk, their feet just go up and down, up and down. They pick up their foot and they put it down and they walk through their lives blissfully ignorant of how much effort that's taking, because their brain is communicating with those muscles in the feet to lift up. and their nerves are translating those messages clearly and with good speed. My brain is sending those messages clearly, but by the time they get to my feet, over time, they're getting there slower and less clearly than in a healthy body. And over time, the muscles in my feet and ankles and lower legs get weaker and weaker, to the point that when I was a little kid without any braces or anything, I was running like lightning. And then when I was a teenager, I was running, but not running very well, but walking smooth. And now I'm a 52-year-old and I can't run. I walk fine, but not always very stable. So when I'm speaking, I always ask people to put their feet flat on the ground and to pivot their toes up, but keep your heel on the ground. And the muscle you're using when you pivot the front of your foot off the ground are the very muscles in my legs that are weak and don't have strength, don't work normally. As a result, my legs are thinner because of lack of muscle tone. And what I'll show you is me trying to lift my foot off the ground, to pivot it up like I ask normal footed people to do. I'm gonna give it every bit of strength that I have. 1, 2, 3. So you get a little bit of lateral motion, but nothing up, nothing off the ground. So when I lift up my leg, my foot hangs down. I can't lift it up at all. So when I'm walking, which I do at night, oftentimes without my braces, I lift my whole leg up and I have to kind of flop my feet down. The leg brace, called an ankle foot orthosis, AFO. This is one of a million different kinds of them, but this one works really well for me. What works for me doesn't work for everyone else, and vice versa. So you have to find what works well for you. But as you can see, the AFO keeps your foot at a 90-degree angle, so that when I'm taking a step every moment of my day, this picks my foot up for me. I don't have to use the muscle tone that I don't have to try and lift my foot up. This automatically lifts my foot up. And so I'm walking through my day like that. So when I put this on and secure it to my shin, now instead of having to struggle just to take one step, I lift up my foot and it's up already. I don't have to worry about foot drop because that doesn't let my foot drop. And then again, with the ease of shoes with new technology, it's so simple to put the shoe over the brace, which is so laughable because that is profound. That has never been that easy in my entire life. Zip. I never ever wanted to wear leg braces. I fought it tooth and nail, man. I wanted nothing to do with it because it was so different. And then this one guy, Elliot, I'll never forget him. He was a brace technician and he was always encouraging me, put on braces, try braces, they're gonna help you. He finally said, enough, man. Put a pair on and walk across my office. If you don't like the way it feels, I'll never bring it up again. And Elliot had earned his stripes with me at that point, and so I was like, fine, to shut you up, I will put on a pair of your leg braces and I'll walk across your office. And I will never forget it. He had a test pair in his office, put them on my legs, he got my shoes tied up, he helped me to stand up and he said, take it easy, but go one step, take another step and just see how it feels. And it changed my entire life the next 30 seconds because I took a step and I took another step, and by the third step I realized that I was using about 10% of the mental energy, much less the physical exertion, to try and take a step that I had ever used before. It in that moment caught up to me how hard I had been working to walk, much less walk normally. And I took another step and another, and I felt like I was gliding. I liken it in my book to the feeling you get when you're walking in the airport and you step onto the moving sidewalk. All of a sudden you've got speed. That very feeling is the feeling I had in that moment. I walked across his office, out the front door of his office, and across the parking lot, faster and smoother than I had ever walked in my adult life. And I'll never forget, I turned around and I said, make me a pair! And that was it. And as a result of getting over myself and my pride and giving into the battle to win the war, I have completed 2 triathlons. I've climbed the tallest mountain in Colorado. I've ridden my bike across Iowa. I'm raising 2 young and very energized kids, all because I wear leg braces. If I don't have leg braces, I do none of those things, literally none of them. And so I don't love wearing leg braces, but they're arguably one of the most valuable things that I have. So I've been a part of the CMTA for 25 years now, one way or another. And for the vast majority of my time with them, I've never been a part of an organization that is more laser focused on doing what needs to be done. And that's twofold. That is finding a cure, or at least treatments for CMT, and that is taking care of the community while they wait for that. Connecting the community to each other, supporting the community, empowering the community, raising a community of aware and confident people with CMT. But my entire job with the CMTA, my entire attitude towards life is about people, connecting with people and sharing the experience of life. And that's what drew me to the CMTA. That is what made me evolve my volunteerism and then my part-time job into a full-time job, is that to me, it's about connecting people who are dealing with this and letting them support each other and lift each other up. I watch kids as they come into camp on the first day and they are like this and like super timid. And I've seen kids who on the first day had their hood over their head and were like this in the airport and didn't want to look at anyone. And this one kid, I won't say his name, but this one kid who always had the hood over, on the last day came to me and said, "Can I say something to the group?" To 80 campers and about 75 counselors, and got up in front of 150 people and said, "Thank you all. This was the best week I've ever had." You tell me that there isn't magic there, but I could tell you about 100,000 stories of that ilk, that the programming that I get to be involved in helping to develop and run, that I am side by side working with these amazing people to run, changes lives. I've directed 8 camps. I've never been a part of something as special as the camp I'm a part of right now, because you see that it is changing the way kids think about their disease, therefore their lives, therefore who they are in the world, and we send them off empowered. You can't put a price on that.